This is the only Rolex tier list that you need to watch on YouTube. The only accurate Rolex tier list in existence. Why, I can hear you asking? Because it's me. No, in all seriousness, a little disclaimer, because I know the Rolex fanboys are a little bit more sensitive than the rest of us. Throw me in with the rest of them, the Rolex fanboys, because I also am a bit of a fanboy, I have to say. If I don't like your watch, it doesn't mean it's a bad watch. We all can have differing opinions. In fact, this is what this channel's all about. It's about creating a community of watch lovers in which we can all have polite discourse in the comments down below. And I just want to talk about a comment on my previous video in which somebody said I had basically no right to talk about Rolex because I was wearing a Breitling. Just to annoy you, I'm wearing an Omega whilst talking about Rolex. Let's get straight into it. I don't know. We're not going to waste any more time. We have the Rolex Explorer. Now, this is the bimetal version of the watch, which in my opinion shouldn't exist. I don't know why anybody would pick this watch. The bimetal version of the Rolex Explorer, in my opinion, is an abomination. And so therefore, it deserves to be in the poop category. Now, it moves swiftly on to potentially my favorite Rolex at the moment, which is the Rolex Explorer. Look, I think this is the quintessential Rolex. I think it's the perfect everyday watch. Yes, it's a little bit boring, but I am a little bit boring as well, which is why I would love to have this watch. I will have this watch one day, and so therefore, I'm going to put it in Grail. Some of you might think it deserves to be in great, but I just think it's just such an iconic watch, such a great daily watch, that it should be in Grail. And we move on to Explorer 2. We've got the white dial and the black dial. Now, the white dial version of this watch, I think I like a little bit more. I think Tudor do a great version of this watch as well. But I'm going to go for the white dial in great, because I do think it's a great watch, a great tool watch, a great Explorer watch. But the black dial, I'm just going to put in solid. Because it's still a great watch, but I just think the white dial version of this watch is just that little bit more exciting and a little bit more desirable. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me on that take. Now, we're moving on to actually a watch that I have my name down for, which is the green Oyster Perpetual. And I absolutely love this dial color. And so for me, this deserves to be in the great category. Maybe not quite Grail. I don't think it deserves that kind of praise, but it is a great watch. I think a very nice casual watch to wear on a weekend, on a summer's day. I love the green color of this die. It is great proportions. Again, simplicity. Some people find the Oyster Perpetual range a little bit boring, but I think it's great. This corally kind of colored version of the Oyster Perpetual, I'm not hugely a fan of. I'm going to put that in meh. I personally wouldn't pick this color. Blue, I would go for meh. This is quite boring. I think it's a boring version of the watch. I do think the green is a lot better. So that's why I'm putting this as a meh. Now we move on to some Datejust, and I got a little bit of flack on the previous video for hating on the Datejust. But you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns and say I feel like the Datejust is probably one of my least favorite models. I do have to say I do like this dial variation. I do like it. I'm going to put this one in solid because I do think this dial is somewhat interesting. It's not meh. It's kind of nice. I do like the normal green dial of the Datejust, but we'll put it in solid just to keep some of you happy out there. But this is where I think the bimetal, I don't think it deserves to be in poop. I can't believe I've actually named a category poop, honestly. I need to grow up, obviously. I'm going to put this in meh. It doesn't do anything for me, although this is classic configuration of the Datejust. A lot of vintage models of this bimetal gold and steel are out there. A lot of people like to get this watch, and I understand why. It's a nice dress watch, but it doesn't do much for me. And again, the same with the blue. I'm going to put it in meh. It doesn't deserve to be in the lowest category. This version of the Wimbledon, the bimetal, I think is poop. I don't like it at all. I just don't like the aesthetics of it. God, the Sky Dweller. A little bit too chunky, a little bit too big for my wrists, and not a particularly desirable model that Rolex have to offer. And I have to put it in poop. All the variations of this have to go in poop, I think, to be honest. I'm sorry if you're a fan of the Sky Dweller. I know it's the most complicated watch that Rolex have to offer. I might be wrong in saying that, but it's just a bit too chunky for me. All of them have to go in. Now we move on to the GMT-Master 2. Some of you liked my comments on the previous video about how people who have a GMT-Master 2 are either show-offs or pilots, and majority of them fall into the first category, being show-offs. But look, the meteorite dial with the Pepsi bezel, surely that's got to go in Grail. I think the Pepsi is probably the best version of the GMT, my favorite version of the GMT. And when you add the meteorite dial to it, God, it's a great watch, isn't it? Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. Now we have the root beer. God, these pictures are quite small, so quite difficult for me to see. But we have the root beer here. I think it's a solid watch. I used to like the root beer a lot more before, but gone off it a little bit. I don't know whether it's to do with the rose gold. A little bit, I guess my tastes are less flashy now. I go for more understated watches, and this is definitely a watch that catches your eye. Of course, the meteorite Pepsi also is kind of loud as well. We've got the normal Pepsi. I think that's a Grail as well, surely. We've got to go for that. And this is, of course, the white gold version with that blue dial. I think this deserves to be in the Grail category. GMT-Master 2 again with the full rose gold. I'll put this in meh. I think this is a little bit too flashy for me, and I know this has a particular clientele, just not for me really. We have the normal Pepsi, and I think any Pepsi variation needs to be in the Grail category for me personally. We have the Batgirl, so configuration being the Batman blue and black bezel with the Jubilee bracelet. I think this is a great watch. It's a great watch. I think I'd be happy with this watch. Would I pick it over the Pepsi? No. I think I'd always pick the Pepsi over this. If you go back a couple of years, I would have actually picked the Batman over this. But I think the Pepsi, having that heritage, having that history, being the first GMT-Master, I think will always win. Moving on to day dates. Now, I've never really had a particular affinity towards day dates. I feel like there's a lot of... I think it's a great dress watch, but I'm a bit more of a fan of the 1908s compared to the day dates. But look, it's a solid watch, especially that green dial. I've always been a fan of the green dial white gold combination. You can't really go wrong. Again, with this one, I will go with sort of that olivey dial. I think that's silver dial, sorry. I would go for... Actually, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm going to go for meh. I thought it was the olive, but it looks a bit more silvery. With this, I would have to say, again, solid. I don't think it's a great watch for me. A little bit too blingy with the gold. Again, meh for this yellow gold version. I do prefer Ever Rose gold compared to yellow gold. We've got the platinum. I think this is great. I think the combination of the blue dial and the platinum is something that I'm a huge fan of. I know that Rolex do that with a lot of their platinum watches, the ice blue dial. I much prefer this combination. It's a heavy watch as well, from my understanding. Now we move on to the Daytonas, and I'm a fan of the Daytona. There's always this discourse between what is the better chronograph between the Speedmaster and the Daytona. I don't know. I understand the argument of the Speedmaster being more iconic, but I feel like the Daytona, at least this is my opinion right now, is the better watch. Now, this is the nickname The Ghost, and this has to be a great watch. Not quite Grail for me, but great. Yellow gold version of this watch, I think it's called the Pikachu, people call it. I have to put this as a solid, not my favorite configuration of the watch. Now, we move on to the Platona, the platinum version of this watch. This has to be a Grail version of the watch for me. Again, a watch that you see a lot of celebrities wearing. We saw a lot of people wearing this at Wimbledon. A lot of footballers tend to wear this watch because it is a little bit more flashy. It's a great watch. I'm a huge fan of this. We move on to the Panda. Now, one of my best friends, the best friend I should say, wears a Panda. And it makes me very happy that he has this watch. This is a Grail watch. This is an absolutely beautiful watch. Perfect proportions. When I tried this watch on for the first time, I couldn't believe how thin this was for a chronograph. Typically, you get quite a thick case thickness when it comes to chronograph movements and chronograph watches, but Rolex have really done well with the proportion of this watch. I would go as far as saying perfect proportions potentially for this watch. Bimetal, I would go for meh of the Daytona, not a huge fan. And black version, I have to go with great. I really do like the black version, steel version of the Cosmograph Daytona. Ever Rose gold version, I think it's solid. I think any Daytona is great. We've got the yellow gold with the green dial. I actually think this is poop. I know some of you might disagree with me on this one. This is Dubbed to be an iconic version of the watch. I'm not a huge fan of this at all. I just don't like the aesthetics. The yellow, gold, and the green, I just don't like at all, really. We now move on to actually the white gold version with the blue dial. I actually really like the combination of this. I'm going to put this in solid. I still would choose the Daytona and the Pandora over this watch. I think they're great watches. This now leads me on to the Yacht-master, which actually isn't probably the most popular Rolex model for whatever reason. I do think they're great looking watches. Maybe it's the price point you're looking at, sort of around £20,000, if I'm not wrong, sorry, retail. So for the Yacht-master, this is the Ever Rose Gold. I think it's a solid watch. This particular version of the Yacht-master, I think, is poop. I was offered this by the AD and I said no straight away. It's one of those, I think you're offered, they've probably find it very difficult to move, expensive, and maybe not the most desirable Rolex out there. I really like the white gold version of this on Oyster Flex. I think it's a solid watch, but again, not quite great. I don't like this version of the Yacht-master. This is the steel version. Sorry, no, this is the platinum version, isn't it? I didn't know they had a platinum version. I'd put that in there. Neither here or there. I absolutely hate the Yacht-master 2. I know, again, a lot of people love that watch and swear by it, but this deserves to be in the poop category. I'm actually surprised by how many watches are put in the poop category. I've surprised myself today. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. We move on to the Submariner. Submariner date versus the Submariner no date. This is tricky. Do I put the Submariner in the Grail or Great category? I'm going to put it like this. The Submariner isn't a Grail. The Submariner no date is a great watch. And I don't think many people can argue with that. But the no date for me is just a solid watch. There's something about the Cyclops that initially I didn't have a problem with, but I feel like it just, my OCD and it balancing the symmetry of the dial, I think it drops down to a solid. But definitely the no date version is a great watch. It's an iconic watch. I always talk about maybe this is the most copied, the most iconic watch of all time. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. I absolutely hate this version of the Submariner date. I think this is the bluesy, is it? Anyway, I think this is poop. I don't like it at all. This is the Starbucks. I actually think this is a solid watch. Close to being great. I actually preferred the Kermit, so it was a slightly different shade of green. That, I think it was the anniversary version of the watch, and I actually preferred the hue of that green compared to the Starbucks version. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. This full gold version of the Submariner is poop. I'm sorry. Ooh, yellow, gold, and black. I don't mind. I'll go to meh for that one. Neither here or there. Now, this version of the Submariner, white gold with the blue bezel, is a great watch. Absolutely great. Probably one of the most underrated versions of the Submariner. Now I understand the price point of we're talking tens of thousands of pounds, so I understand why this watch isn't probably talked about as much. But if money was no object, this is probably the version of the Submariner I'd probably go out and buy. And again, I'd have to put this version of the Submariner in poop. I'm sorry. I'm being quite harsh here, but I'd rather be true to myself than try to please everybody that watches this video. Deep Sea, not a huge fan just because of the proportions. It's impressive in terms of a technical standpoint. Sea Dweller again, I'm sorry. Sea Dweller fans, you're in there. Sea Dweller, you go, God, the poop category is the largest category now. I did not expect that. Now we have the Rolex Deep Sea. I like the blue over the black with the Deep Sea because it has that kind of blue to black gradient dial, which I think is a little bit more interesting, which is why I've put it in there. The Milgauss. I know there's a cult following of the Milgauss, so be a little bit more careful where I put this. I'm going to put this in meh. I don't think it deserves to be in poop. I think they should actually bring this back. There's something unique about this watch with that greenish tint. I think due to the fact that this watch is quite unique, it deserves to be in meh. Now, we've got another Milgauss here. You know what? I'll put you in there as well. So, or to all my Milgauss fanboys and fangirls out there, I haven't been too harsh with the Milgauss in this video. The Cellini moon phase. Now, the Cellini moon phase is a model from Rolex that doesn't really get talked about much. And I've noticed actually in this tier list, the 1908 doesn't exist. It's not my choice for a dress watch. I think there are definitely better dress watches than the 1908 I would have put up in great or solid actually if it was in this tier list. I think the 1908 is actually a very underrated watch. I think it's such a great, especially the new iteration of it, the 5-link bracelet full gold version of that they released this year at Watches and Wonders is an absolutely brilliant watch. But for some reason, just a watch that isn't fully appreciated for whatever reason. The last watch, we're finally at the last watch. So if you've stuck to the end, I appreciate you so much. We've got the Air King, and again, I know this has a cult following, but there's just too much going on with the dial. I feel like this is an overcomplicated version of the Explorer, and as a result, you deserve to be in poop, I'm afraid. And there you have it. This is the most accurate Rolex tier list that exists on YouTube. And now, of course, I don't actually mean that. If I was that big-headed, God, it would be a worrying thought. But look, if you've enjoyed this video and you've stuck with me to the end, I appreciate it the most. Please do like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. I've been Jag from Jags Watches, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.